So, Art the Clown is what would happen if Looney Tunes violence had realistic consequences. For me, it goes Three Stooges, Mr. Bean, Jim Carrey, Art the fucking Clown. Like in terms of physical acting, right? Like slapstick comedy, Jim Carrey, Art the Clown, fucking peak. This movie is fucking hilarious if you know what you're going in for, right? I got to watch this at Monster Fest in Brisbane. It was a fucking cracking festival. I highly recommend. Shout out to the guys at Monster Fest. That's where I got this cool fucking mask. It's one of the best times I've had at the movies ever. It was like a sold out crowd. I think there was 200 people in there. If you are even a little bit interested in Terrifier as a franchise, this is probably the best one, or it was for me. And you should see it in cinemas because most people who will come to this will know what they're going in for, and the vibes will be fucking immaculate. If you are a gorehound, this will be the best time at the cinema for you this year, I think. Maybe The Substance, depending on where you sit on whether you liked that or not, given the plot. But this is like full fucking gore going in. Everyone knows what they're in for, usually, if they're going in for this one. Even though it's a Christmas themed movie, this is an extremely fun Halloween watch with your fucked up friends. I fucking hate clowns, right? Anyone who knows me will tell you that I fucking hate clowns. I don't like them. They scare me. I'm not a fan. I've never liked them. But contrary to that, I adore Art. I adore Art the Clown. He's so cartoony and funny that for me the gore goes into overflow mode, right? Like it's so fucking crazy that it gets to 100 and then it just ticks over right back to 1 again because it's so cartoony and crazy. This movie will get big laughs from psychopaths, right? Caveat: if you know what you're getting into, right? Like this is only good. This is only going to be a good movie if you know what you're getting into. Do not trick people who are not gorehounds into seeing this movie. Horror is consent based. I truly believe that. You need to know roughly how deep the pool is before you jump in. I do not want to hear about people using this to traumatize their friends and family who are unsuspecting. That shit is not cool, and we should be bringing people into this genre if you love it, not scaring them the fuck off or traumatizing them, right? Almost everyone I talk to that hates horror usually has some sort of origin story where they got fucking tricked into watching something and fucked up. Horror is consent-based, not cool. If you are going to take people to see it, let them know that, hey, this is about gore. It's going to be fucking crazy. That's part of the fun. Terrifier 3 is set 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2. Lauren Lavera's Sienna is just getting out of a psychiatric hospital where I assume she had to do a metric fuck ton of CBT to live with the horrors that she was subjected to in number 2. On her discharge just before Christmas, she's taken in by her auntie and their family. Unfortunately, Cole is not the worst thing that Sienna's going to get this year because the black and white incarnate of spite, Art the Clown, has returned from the great circus tent in hell, and he wants to wreak a bloody vengeance, all in the name of Crimbus, and this is wild. It's a wild fucking film. This movie's a pretty easy sell though, right? Did you like Terrifier 1 or 2? If the answer is yes to either or both of those, yes, you should go in and see this one. This is more fun than the other two, and while the plot is still batshit, it understands its pacing way better, which I think is down to the fact that Damien Leone's just a better filmmaker this time around, right? He's got a few under his belt now. I liked Terrifier 2, but I thought the last 30 minutes dragged like a fucking lead weight, and it didn't add shit to the story. I think Leone learned from that, and he showed about 25 minutes off this one, and the pacing is pretty perfect to me, right? Like, I didn't feel the runtime at all in this movie. The kills are fucking magnificent, even if none of them sort of reach the heights of the bedroom kill in Terrifier 2. There's so many of them that are so good that it more than makes up for it. David Howard Thornton, he is fucking stellar. He is one of the best physical actors on the planet right now. And for someone that doesn't speak, Art has more charisma and life than characters with pages and pages of development and dialogue. right? They also overcorrected in a good way a bit of the misogynistic undertones that the first two were sort of maligned with. They really show in this one, like, Art is an equal opportunity killer. He cares not for gender, he cares not for motive, just what your spleen looks like, and that's kind of nice. Also, we get to find out about how Art feels about Santa, and that's fucking important to me. There's a really couple of really good scenes in this one. Also, if you are a horror fan, there are cameos everywhere in this movie. They are everywhere. Damien Leone is a horror fan. I heard an interview with him where he was like, I wanted to put more people in it, but we just didn't have the runtime. He did a good job anyway. Yes, at times the plot is nonsensical. It's about like a fucking demonic clown who comes back from the dead and is killing non-discriminately. There are a few off-screen deaths that I would have liked to have seen because they add quite a bit to the story. But if you are coming to Terrifier 3 for an in-depth story and plot, at some point that's a little bit on you, right? This isn't Midsommar, this isn't The Witch, this isn't Suspiria or Get Out. You know what I mean? Like this is fucking Terrifier 3. You came to see people getting cut in half with chainsaws. That is what you are getting. That being said, I love this franchise, not because it's got the best films, right? I don't think these films are the greatest films of all time. Although Art might be one of my favourite slashers of all time. He might be my favourite slasher of all time, just because he's fun. But the making of the Terrifier franchise is one of the best stories in horror filmmaking ever. In 2008, visual effects maestro Damien Leone wrote and directed a short called Ninth Circle, which featured the rascally little black and white clown that we know as Art now. He was a side character. Leone he really liked this character, so he wrote another short film called Terrifier, which had Art as the main villain. Both of these shorts were sort of squished together and put into a 2013 horror anthology series called All Hallows Eve, which went direct to TV and streaming, and it kind of mixed reviews, to be honest. Leone was like, fuck that, I don't want this to be the graveyard for Art. Especially given how charismatic he is as a character. He saw what we now know as Art, I guess. So he launched a campaign on Indiegogo to finance a full-length feature as Art, as the antagonist, called Terrifier. Luckily, another filmmaker called Phil Falcone saw the Indiegogo, provided the funds, and Terrifier was made. Now, out of the three, I do think Terrifier is the weakest. If that's the only one you've seen, you might not have a high regard, particularly for Art. You might be like, I don't fucking get it. I think 3 is the strongest. I go 3, 2, 1. That is what it is for me. It's good. Terrifier 1 has a brutal kill in it, and it was pretty memeable. There was some quite funny scenes, but it doesn't have much else going for it in terms of what I like in a horror. Given the intensity of the kills in Terrifier and the somewhat messy plot, Leone, he sort of had a bit of trouble getting funding for Terrifier 2, because once again, the kills were fucking, someone gets sawed in half. Slowly, you watch it, the whole fucking thing. So he sort of had trouble getting funding. People were like, I'm not fucking paying for this, you crazy fuck. At least the studio said that. So he chucked it on Indiegogo with a 50k goal, basically saying, you know, if we get 50k, I'll be able to really do something special with the kills in this. And horror fans were like, hey, we love that. We love the kills, let's go. And they backed it to the tune of about 250k. Terrifier 2 came out. It's a fucking hoot. The kills were great. The costuming was great. Art the Clown was great. The character of Sienna hit with a lot of fans. You know, David Howard Thornton turned up the comedy quite a bit. There's some really fucking funny scenes in Terrifier 2. Yes, it was about 30 minutes too long. The plot was pretty muddled. But horror and gore fans voted with their wallets and said, listen, we respect the fuck out of you for what you're doing. Go make another one, you sick little fucks. To the tune of Terrifier bringing in $15.7 million on a $250k budget, which that's 62 times the budget. Art was everywhere. He's in COD now. He's fucking everywhere. Like, he's Funko Pop, all that shit. He's a bit of a horror icon due to the mix of like silly and sinister. And Leone has become known for like having the craziest kills in this movie. Like, every movie he tries to up his kills. So he writes Terrifier 3. Because of the level of success, he gets to shove it around to studios. He does. He shops around all these studios. Pretty much all of them say, we love it, we'd love to have it, but you need to tone down this, you need to change that, because we need to get through the violence and nudity censors. And he goes, fuck you, I'm going to go off and make my own film then, because I'm not doing that shit. People have paid for this, they know what they're getting with Terrifier. It's got to be turned up to 11. It can't be nullified. Luckily, Dark Age Cinema steps in and says, shine on, you crazy fuck. And we get Terrifier 3 with a much bigger budget. He actually doesn't have to do too many practical effects anymore because he's got his own team. Everyone's getting paid more. It's cool. They're getting merchandise made. They're getting all this shit. It's really fucking cool. This is a movie that's been created for horror fans, by horror fans, and is funded by horror fans. And even though it's not the most cerebral of films, I fucking love that it shows what can be achieved when we decide to vote with our money, right? Like people, I mean, I've done it too. I get on here and I go, this is a shit film. I can't believe they spent money making this. To get better films, fucking throw money to people that are giving you good films, right? Like if you are willing to throw money at good film makers and good projects, like if you like fucking Terrifier 2, throw money at Terrifier 3. That means you might not get Terrifier 4, but you might get something else that's in the same vein, right? Like, give money to good filmmakers. Reward the teams that are making good films, and don't reward the ones that are making shit that we're sick of. That's the best way to get the films you want made, right? Like, that is it. And I fucking love that this has done that for horror. This is fucking cool. Even though it's, like, I wouldn't call myself a gore hound. I did have a really good time with this. I'm not obsessed with gore. But I went and supported because I was like, I fucking love what you guys are doing. I love that you're doing this. This is crazy. This is crazy. I recommend watching this if you love, and I mean love, gore. This is so fucking gory. This is so gory. It's fun gory. Like me in the back row were laughing our fucking asses off. But it is over the top. OTT, crazy, crazy gore. If you want to see one of the best cold openers in a while, it's a brutal cold opener. It's one of the best slasher cold openers ever. Highly recommend. If you liked either of the Terrifiers before this, it's the same shit but better, right? This is the upgraded version. This is what I can do with a budget. I'm hoping he gets, if he's going to do Terrifier 4, he gets even more budget so he can go a little bit crazier. If you miss the days of the old splatter films, video nasty stuff in the 70s and 80s, this is 70s and 80s splatter film. That is what inspired this movie, so you will get something out of this. I do not recommend watching this if you are triggered by violence against fucking anyone. Everyone's on the table for this. Species, race, age, doesn't matter. Everyone's getting fucked up. Art's fucking up everyone. If you're looking for a heartwarming Christmas film, there is some heartwarming bits in this. Not the one though. Not the one. If you have coulrophobia, like I do, I don't usually fuck with clowns. I love Art for some reason. I don't know why he's the exception. Maybe because he's a bit Bugs Bunny and I love Bugs Bunny. But I do get that this may not be the case for everyone, so if you don't like clowns, it might not be one for you. If you've seen this, let me know what you think, right? For me, the Terrifier movies go 3, 2, 1. The best kill is still for me in 2, the bedroom scene, but this has so many fucking good kills. They're really crazy. They're fucking crazy. If you like this movie but want less gore, more story, I highly recommend the 2018 Halloween. Don't bother with kills and ends, right? I hated them. Evil Dies Tonight makes me want to roll my eyeballs back into my head. But 2018 actually has some really brutal kills. It's got a great story about the toll of being a survivor, just like this one does. And it's got a killer soundtrack. Plus, you get to see some true crime podcasters become the very stories they joke about. And I like a bit of poetic justice. Another batshit crazy gore fest is the 1992 film Brain Dead, or Dead Alive if you're, I think most other countries had it as Dead Alive, depending on your country. This was made by Peter Jackson. Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson made this fucking film. He made a splatter film, and it's probably the goriest thing I have seen outside the Terrifier franchise. It's about a Kiwi guy named Lionel who gets bitten by this, I don't know if it's supposed to be a monkey. I think it's supposed to be some sort of fucked up monkey, and transforms into like this zombie-like creature and basically goes on a rampage. There are kills in this movie involving a lawnmower that are fucking 10 out of 10. It's probably one of the goriest films in the history of cinema, I reckon. So get around that if you want more gore and you haven't seen that. That's your best bet. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another review. Peace.